I struggled to get a job after NYSC and it wasn't funny at all. And it came to me as a shock because when I finished my housemanship, I was getting job offers. In fact, on the day I stopped working as a house officer, my last day at work, like clinics reached out to me and people wanted to pitch me to some clinics. The only problem was that I hadn't done my NYSC. Some of the places I would have wanted to work with, they were looking for post NYSC dentists. So how is it that now that I finished serving, I'm now looking for a job? What happened to all those places? Hi guys, you're welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Jennifer Ohawe. I am a dentist. This video is particularly for young dentists. You're either fresh out of school or you just finished your housemanship or you just finished serving, but you're about to get into private practice and you don't know what to look out for, you don't know what to expect, or you just want hands-on experience. Whatever it is, this video is for you. So in this video, I'll be sharing my experience post NYSC, some of the challenges I experienced, and how I would advise you handle these challenges. The adventure you get to experience them. When I finished my NYSC, like I earlier said, I didn't have a job, obviously, because at my PPA, PPA is place of primary assignment. I worked for the military, so I worked strictly in that place. So you know how it is. About 2 or 3 weeks towards your POP date, you're supposed to have stopped working. So before then, I had spoken to my friends and we're in different practices. Oh, I'm looking for a job. If there's an opening in your clinic, available. Some people were like, oh, send in your CV and all of that. So I sent in my CV. My first interview was on my POP day, right? And I went. Interview went well, nothing grand. So, but I thought I was going to start working like ASAP, but they were like, oh, that they had another clinic they were opening and they were not done with the whole process. That was where they would want me to be, and I'm like, okay, how long? Like, when is this clinic going to start working? They were like, okay, it needs to be approved. Let's say a week or two, and all of that. That they would definitely get across to me once they are set. I went back that day and I was feeling dejected because I don't know. I was so energetic. I really wanted to work. I didn't want to stay back in the house. Like, so I mean, I had already stayed back like three weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, because I told you now you stop working 2 or 3 weeks to your POP, and I had just stayed back all that time. So I was hoping that, oh, by then I would have started working. So I didn't feel good about it. I was just thinking, what if these people don't call you? Because there's no guarantee. They said they will call you, but what if they don't? So of course I couldn't just sit down idly for that time frame. I had to keep applying to places, reaching out, doing follow up and the rest of it, calling people. They were like, oh, in fact, some of those places I told you that reached out to me when I was in my house job, I got across to them. There was a lot of bureaucracy and all of that. So I just stayed back, and honestly, it was tough because I didn't like the idea of just sitting back in the house and not doing anything, right? And I wasn't even in a good state of mind. I really needed to start working to get my mind off a lot of things that were going on around me at the time. So I didn't know what to do. I had another job interview. That particular interview wasn't even the best of interviews. I don't know why they did what they did. They were asking me questions about procedures that I had never done. They were advanced procedures, right? And they was like, I've not done this procedure before. They were like, yes, you've not done it, but okay, have you seen it being done? I'm like, yes, I've seen it being done once or twice. So how do you do this? How do you do that? I gave them the knowledge I had, which was limited, of course, right? They were like, oh, this is not this. They just kept going on and on. I feel like that was a strategy, right? I feel like they just wanted me to feel like I wasn't good enough. They wanted me to feel inadequate so that when they finally give me the job offer, I'll feel like, oh, despite how this interview went, these people called me, right? So I'll start feeling like, oh, they're doing me a favor. I don't know if you get. That would also allow them or permit them to pay you less than what you pitched or less than what you would want to take ordinarily, because now they've made you feel like you're not good enough, right? And if they make you feel like you're not good enough, you can't stand tall and say, oh, this is how much I'm going to take. I'm not going to take less than this and all of that. Anyway, after that interview, I was just irritated, right? Um, so I was like, see, I'm done. Like I'm just tired. If anybody wants me, they should call me. Like I was tired of the whole process. I was spending money, going on interviews. And I'm not going to lie, I was getting other job offers in places I didn't apply to. But the truth was, those were not the kind of places I wanted to work. So I had a standard, I had expectations. Where I was going to work, there were things I was looking out for. So I wasn't just going to work in any place, right? And I feel like maybe in this video or in another video, I'm going to share what those things are. So I just stayed back. I just stayed back at home. I wasn't working and I was sad. And it was surprising because it didn't make sense. It really didn't make sense. How is it that when I finished house job, I was getting job offers, and now I'm done serving. I'm now looking for a job. I'm sending applications. I'm going for interviews. It wasn't nice, right? Last interview I went for was like on a Wednesday on it or Thursday, right? By Monday, they had sent me an offer letter. That's from that place I told you that they were asking me a lot of questions about advanced procedures. They sent me an offer letter, right? And unfortunately, it wasn't in line with what I wanted. It was a good place to work. I told you I had expectations. So, of course, for me to apply to a place, it means that this place met the standard I had in mind. But I didn't like the offer that they gave me. So, I declined. This happened on a Monday. Then on Tuesday, I had another interview. After that interview on Tuesday, I think I started working the following Monday. So now let's get back to things to look out for in a place where you're going to work as a private practitioner. As a young dentist, what are the things you're going to look out for in a place where you want to work? Or what were the things I was looking out for in a place where I was going to work in? First thing is work environment. See, there are toxic practices. Yes, they are. And people are working in those places, right? And how do you know a toxic workplace? How do you know a toxic practice? How do you know a toxic work environment? If they are constantly in search of a doctor, it is a sign, it is a red flag, right? Because in fact, there was a place that, as at the time I finished house job, they were looking for a dentist. When I finished NYSC, they were still looking for a dentist. I was wondering, NYSC is 1 year. Is it that for the span of this 1 year, you haven't had a dentist? So the only explanation would be that people have been coming and they've been leaving. And the only reason people will be coming and living in a practice in such a short period of time is because they are having really bad experiences. You don't have to experience things for yourself, right? Yes. So I didn't want to work in a toxic place. And you can't really learn in a toxic place because you're always on your toes. You don't want to get in anybody's way. You don't want to be spoken to in a certain way. And that can impede your learning. And then secondly, hands-on. If you know me, you know I'm always talking about hands-on because dentistry is hands-on. Most of the times, most of the cases you're going to see, you'd have to do a procedure on your patient. So you have to be very skilled, right? So yes, I was looking for a place where I would be able to build on my hands-on experience. And the hands-on, I'm not talking of like basic procedures, I'm talking about advanced procedures. I wanted a place where we had the instruments or the equipment that would allow me perform this advanced procedures, right? Because this is how you will learn. Then I was looking at professional growth and development. There are places you work, they want to impede your growth because maybe it took them 10 years, 20 years to learn a certain skill. So they are looking at you're just 2 years in the practice or you're just 3 years in the practice. Why do you want to learn this thing, right? But the truth is, a skill is a skill. So long as you're licensed, right? There is no skill that you have to wait for 1 million years for you to learn. Once you apply yourself, you can learn a skill, and if once you learn a skill, you can be able to perform that procedure. So I wanted to work in a place that would allow me to grow professionally. I didn't want to work in a place that would say, you know what, this procedure is only for XYZ, is only for Oga, or is only for a certain person, right? Yes, I'm not saying that I'm going to jump into procedures that are above me, but I wanted a place that would allow me, right? At least let me observe. If I say I have a phantom jaw, let me try out this thing on my phantom jaw and then be able to do it. Not like you cut me off entirely. No, that wasn't what I wanted. Professional development is something that is very important, right? Places that will allow you go for courses, allow you get certifications and just be good at what you do. Pay. I don't even know how I missed this one out in the first place. The pay is so important. There are people that are very much exploited, right? So you don't want to work in a place where they will exploit you. As a dentist, you should have an idea on what I'm saying. There's a minimum amount of money that you're not supposed to be paid under as a dentist. And this is not to say that because you're looking at pay, you can't do any procedure and you're asking for a certain amount of money, right? Something that is outrageous. No, no, I'm trying to be realistic here. So you have to ask yourself, what can I do? Do you understand? What procedures can I do and do them proficiently before you start asking for a certain kind of pay? Now, when you learn those skills, so there are places that you know that if you're going to work in this place, you're going to learn like your skill set are going to be top notch, right? So at first, the money they are paying you may not be so much, but if you are able to calm down and learn those skills that you need to learn, right? You're going to be the hot cake eventually because now you have the skill. You can now pitch yourself. You can now say, "Oh, I can do this. I can do this. I can do that." Right? That also gives you a bargaining. What is it called? it just puts you in a better place, right? It's like it becomes an advantage to you. But if you're constantly looking for where they'll pay you rubber salary, right, and you can't do anything, you're shooting yourself on the leg, because you start working there and they realize that this person is not as good as he or she claims to be. Is a dent on your image and on your reputation. And then you will still not be able to learn because you're giving them the impression that you know how to do this thing. Meanwhile, you don't know how to do it. It's important that you learn the skill. So there are places that the pay may not be high, but the opportunity to learn would be very high. So if you apply yourself, you learn the skill, and then of course you can come back and renegotiate whatever it is you started out with. But if you start out with asking for a certain amount of money, right, without having the skill, you'll be shooting yourself on the leg. This is not to say that you should take below the minimum amount that you're supposed to earn as a dentist. When I eventually started working in the new place I got, the place that I went for interview, they started calling me, and they gave me a good deal. They gave me a very good deal, but I was already working somewhere else, and I am not big on jumping from one place to another. I feel like if I'm going to be in a place, I should just be there. I should just pitch my tent there. Except I have a very strong reason to want to leave. This is for somebody that is waiting on something, is believing God for something. You're waiting. The truth is, the waiting time is not so easy. I'm able to tell the story now with so much ease because I'm not in that situation anymore. As at that time, it was not funny. I'm not even going to lie. It wasn't funny at all, right? At some point, I even started praying. I'm like, what's this thing? Are there forces working against me? Do you understand? I was just thinking, what's really going on, right? But looking back now, I feel like it was a phase, right? And I'm happy that phase has come to an end. So this is for anybody who is believing God for something, who has an expectation. Do not settle. If there is one thing you're going to learn from this video, is for you not to settle, not in a job you don't like, not in anything, except it's transient, except you're doing this for the time being. You know that you're going to live here as soon as possible. The downside to accepting less than God's best for you is that once you accept that less than God's best, God's best will now come, right? At that time, you're so engrossed in that less than God's best that you can't even see it, right? Or you've gotten so engaged with it that you cannot come out, right? Or it just becomes difficult because you've gotten so entangled and all of that. So it becomes difficult. So what I learned from this experience is not to settle. If there is something you want, I know that this thing you want is not vain. Like you have a tangible reason for wanting something like that. Just hang on to it and keep praying. If you decide to settle, right, if you decide to go on for something else on the side while you're waiting for what you want, then that's fine. There are good things. In fact, even after I took up this offer, right, I started seeing other offers that didn't even come to my mind, that they were mind blowing. I was like, Jennifer, why were you thinking, like, why weren't you thinking in this scope? Why weren't you thinking in this line? But yes, I don't even know why I had the urge to make this video, because I feel like it's a bit of a personal thing. But yeah, I feel like somebody who is watching this video is going to benefit from it. So don't settle for less than God's best for you. And even when you get what you want, never relent. Like, don't just get relaxed or become complacent. Always remind yourself of why you started in the first place. So I've made a list of the things I was looking out for. So I'm not going to fold my arms and say, oh, I've gotten this job, right? So yeah, I'm just going to be lounging. No, I had a reason I wanted to work in a certain place. And now that I'm working in a place that kind of meets some of these expectations, I'm not just going to relax. I'm going to now apply myself. I'm going to now put in the work. And this is not just for me. This is also for you. When you eventually get into that work that you want, when you eventually start doing the job that that you've prayed for, right? Don't become complacent. Don't get carried away. Put in the work and stand out. So yes, this is the end of this video. If you have any question, please let me know in the comment section. If you've ever wanted something and you had to wait for so long, you can share with me how you were able to keep yourself sane within that time frame. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please click the subscribe button so that you get notification every time I upload new videos. Take care of yourself. Bye.